Hello, MW223. Sorry that I'll be missing the first day of class. Hope you had a good time during the winter break. I got 10 days in Costa Rica, so you'll see me suntanned. I am going to be in Denver, Colorado on Tuesday at the Outdoor Retailer Show for the collection that I work on, high tech. So just to give you a legit reason why I won't be here. So let's start with the introduction. Both on Blackboard as well as on Google Drive is the syllabus, which has all of the standard boilerplate information regarding the schedule, calendar for the year, all the different lessons, the outcomes, and all the support that's available. We can go over that again next week in case anybody has a question. At this point now, you've been at FIT for 3 semesters, so you realize that there really aren't many excuses for not turning in your work late, not due to file sizes or uploading errors, not understanding the requirements, or because you missed class. Obviously, all of those are your responsibility. If there's something that you're not clear on, you can always contact me at any time, and I will try and make it even more clear for you. Due next week, you'll be creating a trend research presentation. It's a small one. I want you to include, it's going to be for spring 2020. I'm going to the show in Denver, and we're showing fall 19. So that's all pretty much put to bed for most people. So this is going to be for spring 2020. I want you to include 5 style trends. And that needs to include 1 fall forward trend. So because this is a spring trend presentation, from one season to the next, even if it transitions from fall to spring, there are some trends that actually carry through a seasonless trend. So I would like you to identify 1 trend that you feel was big for fall 2019 that you think is going to carry into spring 2020. The second trend needs to be one from spring 19 that you feel will affect spring 2020. So if you think that very short shorts are very popular in spring 19, and that means that the shorts are going to get a little longer for spring 2020, it could be that, an update to it, or a contrast to it. And then 3 new trends. In addition, 2 color trends. These can either be a single color trend, such as the single color orange you might feel is important, or an overall color palette trend, such as pastels or brights. Each of these trends needs to be shown consisting of at least 4 pictures each, and you need to identify what the trend is. I'll show you in just a second an example of what the layout should look like. The file can be formatted in any way you like, but it should be easy to present during class because you are going to present your trend findings to the rest of the class. We'll do a little quick recap at the end and see what we find consistent, unique. In your research, my preference would be for you to visit a couple of stores. There may be leftover fall product in the stores, which might not really tell you a good story, because if it's still in the stores, it didn't sell well. But hopefully some people have actually started showing spring 19 products, so you can get an idea of where things are going. Then, of course, you can look at trend services and definitely rely on your own design instincts. Please, please, please do not completely lift anything from trend service. Obviously, we all have access to WGSN and Fashion Snoops and all those things, so please, if you can, you're welcome to be inspired by it, but try and keep it uniquely your vision. So, boom, boom. So this is what a trend page would look like. Again, you want to make sure that you're identifying what the trend is. You want to name the trend, and you want to make sure that there are a minimum of 4 pictures. So here it's identified as zippers and straps and clear vision of what all of that is. For color, 2 examples. This is just 2 colors combined, coral and aqua, and how those are represented and influenced. And then this is a more overall, where we're talking about tropical bright, so there are a lot of colors in there. Again, you don't want to lift anything. So what I don't want is a page full of random pictures that are unnamed. I would have no idea what trend we have here. I don't see anything in particular. There are some interesting single items, but there's no overall trend that's being identified. And as far as color goes, please, as I said, do not lift it directly from the services. Please have a point of view yourself. Obviously, you could be inspired by what you're seeing and then figure out how that would then affect you overall. We have the final project introduction. There's an overview file, and you can open up that. I'll open it up quickly to go over it. This is going to be the same process that we had last semester as far as building a small collection. You're going to have similar features to it of any good collection presentation. You will have a cover page. And some additional information to back up a bit. This is going to be a 3 delivery collection. For most seasons, there are 4 basic seasons throughout the course of a year. You have spring, summer, fall, and holiday. Some people call it winter. In my experience, we've never called it winter or resort. In menswear, it's usually just holiday, because the most important financially beneficial season of the year obviously is before Christmas and all that shopping. So a lot of retailers want to focus specifically on that 4th quarter of the year. So you have your choice of designing either a spring-summer collection or a fall holiday collection. It is your choice. Don't be confused in any of the files. When it shows both of the seasons, you only need to build one season or the other. Think about the items that you like to design and work on, or what's missing from your portfolio at this point, to decide which of those 2 seasons you want to do. Within a season, most retailers will deliver more than one set of product, right? If you're a direct retailer like Banana Republic, you're probably putting in new product in the floor, if not weekly, every 3 or 4 weeks, because you have repeat customers. So the idea of delivering one delivery at the beginning of a season and letting it sit there for 6 months is pretty outdated. You want to build a collection that flows through several deliveries. So it'll either be an early spring-summer collection or an early fall holiday collection. The presentation will include a cover page with a brand and a collection statement. And as I tried to impress upon you last semester, there's a difference between describing your brand, which is really about the core functionality use of your general brand items, and what this particular collection is about. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a description of both of those 2 things. Those are 2 separate items, a brand statement and a collection statement. Again, you'll have a mood board with a color palette, having at least 15 colors. Because there are 3 deliveries, you're going to need a good assortment of colors to play with in order to make all of the different colorways that you're going to be required. You'll have an inspiration page, and again, as we did last season, this is about details and silhouettes, textures that directly influence your collection. You don't want to show a bunch of chiffon and terracotta pots and then have a collection full of workwear. It needs to be a consistent image of your inspiration to what the collection really is. You'll be required to do a minimum of 2 figures. These are going to be drawn and then rendered digitally. We're going to go through again how to do that in Illustrator, making sure that you have good dimension to it, shadows. Obviously always about adjusting grain lines and making it as dimensional and impactful as possible. You need to have at least 5 styles from the 3 deliveries on those 2 figures, and a minimum of 2 patterns used on the figures, scaled correctly, and as I said, with the grain lines adjusted. This semester we're going to learn how to do stripes, plaids, and prints all done in Illustrator. You'll be able to contrast what was done in what you had learned in with Kaleido. You're going to develop 2 stripes, 2 plaids, and 2 all-over print patterns. So as you saw from last season, if you come prepared for the lessons with the types of patterns you want to create for your collection, you'll be able to get a lot of work done in class and not have to rework later on. So I can't emphasize enough, I'd like to see you really well prepared for the classwork in order to be as efficient and effective as possible. Again, you'll have a CAD assortment. We'll identify the styles, the colors. You'll have a required amount of colorways for each one, very, very specific. We'll go over the collection line list, which some people call a SKU plan. And this is a test of how well you follow instructions. It is important that you actually see what is required. This is what happens on daily on a job. Is someone is going to tell you exactly what they need from you. If they say, I need 3 shirts, and you make 3 sweaters, you obviously failed what they had requested. So this is a good exercise to see how a collection typically flows. I'll go over the specifics of that, but you're going to need to design and create very specific items in certain colorways. In addition to the color CADs, you'll show the black and white flats, and despite this picture, you will be required to make front and back flats. We're going to work very hard to get your flats as accurate as possible. You know how important all of the small details are to me, because that is how you get correct samples. So how things are finished on the inside of the neck that you can see, the inside of the hems, all of that, and then how that relates to the back view to make sure you're making accurate flats. The rubric is included. The cover page collection statement, brand statement is 10%, mood board color palette 15, inspiration 10, figures 15, patterns 20, CADs and flats 15 each. So as I said, there's a very specific requirement as far as what's required for this 3 delivery collection. There's a separate file for that. I'm going to jump to a separate page that I have here. So as I said, you'll either be doing spring, summer, or fall holiday. There are separate tabs for those in the collection line list. Again, you don't have to do both seasons. You just do one or the other. But the flow of merchandising is similar between the two. So in the first delivery, if you're doing spring, summer, there are 6 styles. The first is a short sleeve knit. As I said, nobody needs you to design a t-shirt. I don't want to see any t-shirts. So anything beyond that, if you believe completely that a crew neck is the style that this needs to be, I want to see a lot of detail on the style. It can't just be a simple little t-shirt. The second is a long sleeve medium weight knit, then a woven shirt, 2 bottoms, and a blazer. You see the colorways required for each. Short sleeve knit has 6, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 2 to 3 for the blazer. So that's your first delivery. There's 6 items, and that's the first part of the collection. The second delivery also has 6 styles, but something happens along the way. You have a new short sleeve knit, so it needs to be a separate style than the first delivery. This is a completely different silhouette. So don't do short sleeve polo and then short sleeve polo. We want to see a lot more variation on that. You're going to have a new woven shirt. Shirts are easy pattern work to do, but I also want to see a separate body in that. For this bottom, you're going to carry over one of the bottoms from the first delivery. So either this one or this one will carry over in 2 to 3 new colors, right? So whatever colors you did here, you did 3 colors here, these need to be 2 to 3 new colors added on. So in this one pant, you'll end up having 5 colors. That's why your color palette needs to be of a certain depth. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get 5 colors out of it. So one of these 2 will carry over to make this style here. And the reason that this happens is bottoms and blazers are styles that don't turn over as fast. The product goes into the store, people buy tops to bottoms in a 2 to 1, 3 to 1 ratio. It's easier to look different each day if you have a different top on. If you think about the way that you dress, you probably have a lot less pants in your closet than you do shirts. And this is the reason. So the style comes in early spring, and it's going to stay on the floor through the spring season, and you want to make sure that then that style is coordinating with everything else. So again, this is one big collection with 3 different deliveries, and this is how things are flowing. There'll be a new bottom here. The blazer will carry over exactly in the same 3 colors, 2 to 3 colors. So you want to be able to create a flow of your color palette that makes the second delivery look fresh, but it has to be consistent with the first one. So that blazer is going to look good with all of the new items in the same 3 colors. Then you have an outerwear, which can be a track or casual jacket in the spring time. Obviously in the fall holiday season, it can be a heavier piece. When we get to the third delivery, a similar thing happens. You have, oh, I missed this. This one carries over exactly the same in 4 new colors. So you have this particular style from the second delivery is going to carry over directly in 4 new colors. So this particular style is going to be in 8 to 9 colors. So this needs to be a style I don't want to say is a basic, because we don't want anybody to really design a basic style. We want it to have interest and detail to it. But it needs to be a style that can be worn with a lot of different outfits, because you're going to present it in so many colors. You then have a new short sleeve knit, a new woven, your new bottom from this second delivery is going to flow in 2 to 3 colors. You'll get 1 new bottom, and your outerwear piece will carry over exactly as is with 1 new pop color. Just 1 new color to it. All right, so I'm going to just do this because I want to make sure that that's still there. There we go. All right, so that's the flow of it. We can talk about this again next week, about how these styles flow from one delivery to the next. Overall, you're going to have 6 styles in each delivery, but with all of the carryovers, it's not going to be 18 styles. It'll actually only be 13 styles. So you've got the whole semester to build these. We're going to work on a lot of core. We're going to back up and do some really good core Illustrator techniques. We're going to teach you from scratch the Bradley Erickson method of creating a flat so that it has a single outline to it, and utilizing all of the seam lines in order to create sections using live paint. Really very clear. I want to emphasize, if you think that you're just going to pull up old flats for this semester, for this class, you're probably sadly mistaken. It really needs to be built the way that we're going to be learning. So I want you to build new flats here. I know you feel time crunch that you just want to throw in old stuff, but it'll be very clear to me if that's what you've done, if they're not built from the bottom up the correct way. All right, and then just a little bit about what we're going to be doing. We mentioned it before about the difference between a flat and a float, and the fact that you can do things in a certain way that's going to make a flat acceptable for a tech package, but lively enough for a CAD presentation, which is my high suggestion for you, so that you can be an efficient and quick fashion designer. We want to make sure that you've drawn garments accurately in the flat formation. So make sure that you're being able to look at garments clearly to see what details show in the flats and all the information that you can communicate at that point. As I mentioned, doing a full outline is going to be imperative. And then there is a benefit to that, and that's being able to do weighted lines to give more dimension to your flat. You can also change the color in one click if it's a solid garment, and it's also very easy to add a drop shadow if you want some dimension to your flat. The last thing I'm going to go over quickly, there is a style submit template in the folder. I'm going to have you submit each of the assignments as we go through on this template. Please go in and customize it to you. Obviously, your name is not Bradley Erickson, and your garment is not going to be a slub jersey, short sleeve polo. It's going to be something else. If you can't click on Bradley Erickson, that's probably because the layer is locked, which is a good thing to do as you're working on flats and presentations, is to create the limited amount of layers that you need. Doing the template or background as a separate layer is a very good idea, because it's easy then to lock that layer and it won't be in your way as you're working on a separate layer to create flats or figures. So again, the trend report is due next week. Be ready at the beginning of the class to present your report. As I've mentioned before, when doing a presentation, don't use I, me, mine. Nobody cares about what your favorite color is. You need to make it more impactful than that, even if it's just alternative facts. Instead of saying, I really like overalls, say there's a trend to overalls, or we're seeing a lot more utilitarian silhouettes, and the overall is a great piece to accentuate that, whatever it might be. But I will stop you in your presentation if you start saying, I like this, I like that. All right. Of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. The trend report is the only thing that's due next week. I think you should be able to handle that pretty well. Otherwise, have a great week. Thanks.